Hey, it's the Harlem Historian Newsflash Najim family. We back again. Look, I went down a rabbit hole, so y'all going with me now. Like, I want to talk about the connection with Area 51, JFK, and even the origins of the CIA. All right, so what brought me down the rabbit hole is this book here, Behold the Pale Horse. Check out the table of contents, guys. The information in this book is amazing. I mean, it delves down a lot of stuff. It could have birthed a lot of what you call right-wing conspiracy today, or not really conspiracy. I mean, what you call it conspiracy? About 6 months ago, we had a whistleblower who talked about the non-human entities that we found at these crash sites in Roswell. But let's go back to that. Now, if you need to pause, take a moment to read this excerpt from Behold the Pale Horse book. Talking about the secret government. 16 crash sites. Norway, United States, and Mexico. I think it's pretty interesting what they found. Now stop and take some time to read this, guys. Majority of the crash sites were in New Mexico, Arizona, and those areas, but there were also 3 crash sites in Norway, 2 in Mexico. But this is what brought about the formation of the CIA. You'd be surprised. And also the term plausible deniability. And that's where I get to the connections with JFK and watch this. This video won't cover Norway, but I think it's interesting how wealthy they are. Maybe they got some sort of alien technology, great shipping industry, infinite money. I mean, we can find a lot of things interesting about the formation of the National Security Council, but I find interesting some of the memos. This is what created what we know today as the CIA, originally the Central Intelligence Group. But just take a look at this, and this gives you some ideas of what different presidents did with their national security advisors. I'll talk about this because the first alien whistleblower ever was the head of the National Security. I mean, this excerpt here just shows you a little something. You see public interest 50 years later after all of these alien crashes, the 16 crash landings. It was so many different UFO sightings. They had to run so many. It was so much. Take a look at this. I'm coming full circle, y'all. We coming full circle. So I'm gonna actually show you these national security memos, but take a look at this, guys. Pause it if you need to and read this. This talks about how the Central Intelligence Agency was created to be a buffer zone between different presidents so that these high-ranking military officials didn't have to share information about National Security Council memos here. These are the ones that took effect that started to shape what the CIA was, how they could operate abroad and here at home, gathering intelligence about aliens. Those memos led to National Security Council Memos 10, which superseded that and expanded the covert abilities of the CIA even further. And here's a look at Memo Council 10. That superseded and made the CIA, it expanded their powers from just like alien intelligence gathering. I mean, just inquiring about UFO sightings and like alien sightings. I mean, you can find a lot of imagery and stuff out there because it was happening in the 50s. They didn't have the technology to suppress the information. Area 51, somewhere in New Mexico, Nevada, look. You know, I mean, it was just so much stuff happening there. The CIA was invented to cover it up. You're probably thinking, where do I get off talking about JFK? How does he include it? Well, let's talk about the first person who was the alien whistleblower and his mysterious unalive. This time, take a look below, though. The first ever Secretary of Defense for the National Security Council, his name was James Forrester. He objected to this secrecy. What happened to this man? He thought it should be publicly told. Him, just like President JFK. Here's James Forrester shaking hands with President Truman before he was fired because he wanted to reveal the alien secrets. Take a listen to this. He's going to tell you a little bit about James Forrester. A man who mysteriously was committed to an insane asylum, and then when his brother said he'd take him out, the man jumps out of a 16th floor story window.
He wasn't utterly explicit, but in 1949, with the death of America's first Secretary of Defense, a guy named James Forrester,
who wanted to blow the whistle.
An aircraft carrier after him, and Forrester did a bungee jump out of the 16th floor of the Bethesda Naval Hospital in February.
Check out the insert from Bill Cooper's book, a little bit more on that, a little insight. Now, this is Bill Cooper here. He expressed fears for his life. Take a read. This was the first person who ever wanted to blow the whistle on aliens. And then this brings us to John F. Kennedy. This was one of President Kennedy's last addresses ever. He wrote a letter to NASA talking about he wanted to reveal the aliens to the American people. That's what he thought of secret societies. And how he intended to inform the American public of this concealment that's been going on 20 years before him.
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news.
They didn't have the right tools to censor it. But they were censoring. They were killing to censor it.
Or to withhold from the
First James Forrester.
The facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world.
Look at how James Forrestal was glorified until he wanted to blow the whistles about aliens.
Wartime Secretary of Navy and first American to assume the title of Defense Secretary, Forrestal gets
Jumped out of the 16th floor window the day before his brother signs him out
Assistant Secretary of War
of an insane asylum that the government put him into. Be interested in the unidentified objects. And they try to write most of them aboard for propaganda, but it's still something they can't explain. Blowing the whistle on aliens gets you in a lot of trouble. Like I mentioned, JFK's memo to NASA. I mean, there are a lot of conspiracies and a lot of different things that people think about the JFK unaliving, and you know, it could have been his eagerness to expose aliens, debt to the mafia. Nah, I'm wilding. I cannot forget this part. What did they find? They said they pulled 17 aliens out of these 2 crafts that they found in Nevada. And they found body parts, extensive human body parts. These people abducting humans. There's some things that we could talk about with alien abduction as well. But for me, the creation of the CIA, Area 51, JFK, those things are all connected. I see it. Hope you do. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Now, if you made it this far, check me out at thedoorway.com. You can support the Harlem Historian. You can get your own Harlem Renaissance edition fitted. Side patch, amazing. Specs, crazy. Get with us, thedoorway.com. Link in my bio. I say all that to say this, though, y'all. Plausible deniability. The first time it was ever used was by the head of the CIA, Alan Dulles. Check this shit out. Plausible deniability, keeping information away from the president so they could not